from all of the law enforcement agencies, the hotel associations, the port, the airport, lots of private businesses, the transit agencies. We have education, healthcare, as well as a wide variety of survivor-led advocacy groups that are helping build the safety net for victims that have gotten caught in this crime.
Well, fantastic. And I mean, it's so very important. And I appreciate that 30,000-foot view, if you will, of what we're doing here at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. We certainly have been preparing since way before the Super Bowl got here this month. So we've been working very closely with Commissioner Overman, as well as, hold on, sorry. We've been working very closely with Commissioner Overman, as well as all of the city officials on this project. One of the events that happened today, right here at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, was an event with the NFL, where they provided brand new clothing and supplies for sexual assault victims. We've had, certainly in this community, as the Certified Rape Crisis Center, we provide assistance and support about one rape exam every single day, right here at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. And for those individuals who walk in as victims, for us to be able to help them become survivors, there's a lot that we do. And one of the things is that we provide them with new clothing, because oftentimes we have to take their clothing. And so the NFL very graciously assisted us today with a wonderful event of providing very specific clothing items in a variety of sizes for both women and men, because human trafficking isn't just a female situation. We certainly know that men and children are trafficked as well. So that is one of the wonderful things I think that has come out of this. And, Commissioner Overman, I'm interested in your perspective on this. The NFL has been so verbal and has come forward so much in this area. So I'm curious from your perspective, how you think this will help human trafficking moving forward? Because I think you and I both agree, this isn't just something that's going to happen on February 7th, unfortunately.
That is correct. And actually it happens year round. As we've seen, we've heard some really sort of high profile arrests that have been made. But trafficking is human trafficking is a very difficult crime to fight. And so, and when the NFL decided that this is an issue, a social justice issue that they wanted to focus on, it really isn't so much about the Super Bowl, but it is also something that tends to be uncovered or more prevalent when people are traveling to some other town. And unfortunately, that gives them the license to do something that they would not otherwise do. And so any big event right now, we have our ears and eyes open. And the training program, the Hillsborough Heroes training program, in partnership with all businesses, whether that be share ride companies, hoteliers, healthcare professionals, our transit workers, the Hillsborough Heroes online training program helps people know, one, what human trafficking looks like, what to do about it when you see it, and then why it's important in our community to make sure that we eliminate this crime. Traffickers actually take advantage of vulnerable people. Mm-hmm. And when they're vulnerable, they actually find themselves in a situation where they don't have a lot of choices and they would do things they would never otherwise do. And so it is very difficult for them to make the courageous effort to step away from the only safety net they currently know. So with Crisis Center and our free network and other organizations that have been such great support systems for individuals who've been in this trap, we've been able to actually rescue some folks that have had taken that courageous move. And that's what's so important, to use big items, big issues, and big events like the Super Bowl to highlight an issue that frequently is right in front of us that we don't necessarily see.
And you bring up a fabulous point about for the folks that are going to be watching this today, what are some of the signs and symptoms to look for? Because certainly, we've heard this saying that, victims are oftentimes hiding in plain sight. So, some of the things that we look for here at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay when we answer those 211 calls, and we are, not going off of a script, but really trying to get information from individuals, is just asking some very basic questions, asking how people are, asking, looking for how people are interacting with others. Are they afraid? Are they carrying multiple cell phones? Are they unable to produce identification? Are they fearful? All of those things can be some signs and symptoms. And if you're really not sure what to do, as Commissioner Overman said, there's plenty of tip lines available, and CTY tip is one thing that you can text to tip 411, but you can also call 211 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think that's been really important, Commissioner Overman, in this campaign, is providing a variety of different ways that the public can learn more about human trafficking, learn the signs and symptoms, and then where to go for help.
And the most important part about that is that people can actually help anonymously. In other words, not only calling those numbers or those tip lines, and you'll see billboards around town right now helping you remember if you didn't get the information. But there's now also an app that you can download to your phone, so that anytime you see where there is someone that is controlling another person, they're not able to answer their own questions, or they definitely appear as though they're doing things that they would not otherwise do at the beck and call of someone else. Those are some of the signs that to help people see that something just doesn't look quite right here. When you see a young person or a child just hanging around, a convenience store with their phone looking for, somebody to pick them up, it may not be a parent. It may be a client of a trafficker who is staying in hiding and forcing this person to get into a car or go into a hotel room or go into places where they are not going to be safe, and they are going to find themselves in a traumatizing situation. So the important thing we can do is keep our eyes open and then partner with all of our team members. We're tackling this. We've got a great defense and a great offense. And that's why it's been so great to partner with the NFL and, the Sports Commission and the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, because we have all the players on the field, and now we can actually do a great job of fighting this crime that occurs in all over the world. It's not just in Tampa Bay, although we do have a decent prevalence of it. It does occur all over the world, and it's not necessarily people being shipped in and sold to somebody else. It's our people in our community that are being taken advantage of, and that's why it's so important to us here in Tampa Bay.
And you hit the nail on the head. Again, this is not just a one-time scenario, but this has provided us a platform in this community to be able to highlight something that unfortunately has been a part of our community for a very long time. And so, I look at, these platforms and the additional support that has been made available that will last beyond the Super Bowl. And that's what's very exciting as well. And, we've had some ordinances in place, and being able to renew some of those ordinances and putting some signage in public locations, I think goes a long way in helping us, be able to combat this situation again beyond February 7th.
Absolutely. I mean, the sign ordinance we have in certain businesses like massage parlors and the clubs, entertainment clubs. The signage is also being checked on by code enforcement as they are moving around with many other code enforcement issues this time. So, we're working with our business partners. There's a great deal of signage in the airport, bringing it to people's attention. There's signage being available at our port locations. And so as people travel to Hillsborough County and to the city of Tampa and to go to our entertainment venues, I think it's important that people understand that they can call the national hotline, but thanks to our partnership with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, they can also use our apps as well as call the 211. And especially if they're in a dangerous situation, not in imminent danger, but they recognize that they need help and they're reaching out for that. And that's what's so great about the crisis center. You know, your mantra of help, hope, and healing is right in line with what our victims of human trafficking truly need. And so having that safe place and that lifeline is critically important.
You know, and certainly we've, you know, been able to see what the results of a lot of that work. You know, certainly in the past, we've had victims of human trafficking who have come to the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, and, you know, many of them have been, you know, been involved in this process for a long time. We had one woman who was 30. She had been involved since she was 15, and she finally decided, you know, this wasn't what she wanted her life to be like, and she was ready to take that step. And I look forward to being able to have more of those individuals coming forward and saying, you know what, I want more for myself than where I am right now, and I'm ready to ask for help. Because I think you would agree with me, Commissioner Overman, that's the hardest piece in all of this, is being willing to ask for help, is reaching out for that help and knowing that it's going to be available from a place that's non-judgmental, that is just here to provide you that opportunity to really change your life. And I think that that's the other beautiful thing that has happened through your Commission on Human Trafficking, is that as a community, we have really recommitted ourselves to embracing these individuals as they come forward, because it will take an entire community to be able to provide that help and to support to those individuals as they are moving forward in the next phase of their journey.
Right. You know, it's actually a no-brainer to realize that no one grew up wanting to sell their body, you know, for whatever reason, right? I mean, no one aspires to, you know, to actually sell their body. So when people find themselves trapped into this, they've been coerced, they've been mind melded, they've been oftentimes drugged to the point where they don't make good choices. And then they can't get out of the circle they're in. So it does take an enormous amount of courage for someone to recognize where they are and to make those changes. And that's one of the reasons why the Crisis Center and the Free Network and the variety of survivor-led advocates who know what it is to make that choice are available to help us help those folks break free of someone who they, you know, have depended on for a long time, whether it was good or bad, but most of the time bad. But that's been their safety net. And so we're looking for them to help find a new safety net and allow us to break them free of those chains.
We certainly know how powerful those peer networks are. The peer networks are really the ones that do the transformational work. Those of us here at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, you know, we help them in that, literally in that moment of crisis, and we help them medically and we help them emotionally get through that initial piece. But it is those strong peer networks that truly the Commission has really helped, again, to re-energize and bring together to create a system of care for those individuals who have been trafficked, because it is a multi-systemic need that those individuals have. I mean, it's not just their physical needs, but, you know, I remember, again, our one victim, she hadn't been to the dentist in 15 years. So, I mean, there's so many things that those individuals are going to need, and they're going to need more than just one person to help them through. And I think that that's one of the great things that the Commission has done, again, was to bring all of us together, quilting together a true safety net for those individuals so that they can move forward, again, as I said before, in their journey, in their next phase of their journey.
And the best news is we're getting better and bigger partners. As I mentioned, our greatest offense is actually our law enforcement partners. They have survivor-led advocates that are literally on site. So when someone gets arrested, say, for example, prostitution, they're not necessarily want to be in that business, but they're there. They may have multiple charges against them. They may have a lot of other things that make it look like those charges are the most important thing that we should be focusing on. When the reality is we have a victim that is now in jail. And the good news is those victim active advocates, as well as apparently we've got some state legislators that are very aware of the challenges of coming out of that network. So the good news is there's a lot of things happening right now to help those individuals that have been caught in this trap. And we can then help those law enforcement officers be able to actually prosecute those folks that are taking advantage of our vulnerable citizens.
You know, you mentioned law enforcement, and certainly we know Sheriff Chronister and, you know, Chief Dugan, Chief Albano, all of them have been incredible. But I also want to, you know, really give a lot of kudos to Chief Vasquez at Tampa International Airport. You know, Tampa International Airport, for many victims, as well as traffickers themselves, that is where they are coming from. That is a place, unfortunately, where many of the starting points happen, if you will. And so the chief really has taken a very strong stance, as has, you know, certainly Mr. Lampano and everybody over at the airport. I know we have a program there called Traveler's Aid, where we provide assistance and support. And we've had all of our volunteers there trained to recognize human trafficking. And we've had several instances where potential victims, a 14-year-old girl specifically, as well as, you know, individuals who were a part of the network that were looking to get out, that we were able to help and support. So again, you are absolutely right. Our law enforcement community has been outstanding, and we are, you know, again, very excited that we've been able to partner across the spectrum, from social services to our policymakers to our law enforcement. It has been a phenomenal thing. Before I open it up to any questions, Commissioner Overman, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Just lastly, you know, when I wanted to get the commission up and running, the key stakeholders you just mentioned, you know, the port, you know, our law enforcement, our businesses that where eyes on happen, are now actually all on the commission. And so we have stakeholders that are in the game that are actually part of the team to fight this crime. And in the first year, you know, being asked by the NFL to assist us in really rolling out their effort in fighting human trafficking was a bit much. But you know what? When you ask really talented, committed folks to get the job done, I think we're hitting touchdowns. So I'm really excited about it.
And it doesn't happen without incredible leadership. So thank you to you and your team for the incredible leadership, the incredible support of pulling this group together to truly create, again, this safety net, this quilted system of care for victims of human trafficking. Again, not just focused on February 7th, but beyond, because we know that human trafficking, unfortunately, is something that is an absolute reality in our community. So Thank you for your leadership.
My pleasure.
And with that, we will open it up if anyone has any specific questions for myself or Commissioner Overman.
Yes, this is C.T. Bowen from the Times.
Hi, how are you?
Good. This is for the Crisis Center. You mentioned, you know, you do a rape exam every day on average, but I guess how many victims of human trafficking are you able to help, you know, a day, a week, a month, or whatever? I mean, I know you're under a county contract to provide direct services. So are you able to give us any type of statistic on the actual number of human trafficking victims that you've been able to assist?
I will tell you, it is small. I don't have the exact percentage, and I can certainly get it to you, CT, so that's not a problem. It's not as robust as we would like it to be, because we know, even though we process almost a rape a day, it's only about a third of the sexual assaults that are actually occurring in our community. We all know there's a variety of reasons for that. Some of it is, you know, it's just people aren't aware. Some of it is the stereotypes or the shame, or they don't, maybe somebody doesn't feel like they're a victim. So all of those things can combine together. But I'm hopeful that with an effort like this, where we're bringing so much attention to this issue, that we will start seeing more individuals who are victims of human trafficking coming forward for help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Celine?
Hi, this is Celine with Axios Tampa Bay. I'm wondering if you all have any numbers in terms of any spikes that you've seen in human trafficking or sexual violence that do occur around the Super Bowl, you know, when Tampa Bay has hosted in the past, or maybe perhaps if you've seen stats from other Super Bowl cities and events.
We have seen that there were several arrests, not only in Atlanta when the game was in Atlanta, and several arrests when there was the game in Miami last year. And part of the reason the arrests and the rescues are occurring maybe around the Super Bowl is because there's a focus on it. Not because it happens at the Super Bowl any more than it does at any other large event, but because the NFL has really made a commitment to fight this. They've partnered with local communities and law enforcement to really put eyes on. And as a consequence of that, there are many more arrests than you would see probably normally. But we do, being the third largest, unfortunate place where human trafficking is more prevalent in the country, is my understanding. It's great that we've been able to build a sustainable campaign to fight this.
And I do have stats from the Miami Super Bowl last year. 44 people were arrested and 22 victims were rescued. So that's the most recent data that we have right here. So thank you for that question. Does anyone else have any questions before we close it out?
Thank you, Celine.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, thank you, everybody. We certainly, yes, it was 44 people arrested and 22 victims were rescued. So just flip that around, Celine, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. All right, I want to thank you all so much. Thank you for taking the time and showing your interest in this, in this very important topic. And certainly Commissioner Oberman and myself are available. If you need any further follow-up, please just let us know. And Commissioner Oberman, thank you so much for taking your time out of an incredibly busy day for you to spend some time with me talking about this very important subject. I greatly appreciate what you did today, as well as everything that you've done to support our community and this issue.
Well, thank you, Claire, for the partnership, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Thank you all.
Thanks,
have a great
everybody.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.